Hey guys, what is up, and welcome back to CUBING Weekends. Today we are going to be talking about something that a lot of people haven't talked about, and this is kind of an original video. Today we're going to be talking about why we are living in history. We are living in CUBING history, and I'm going to be explaining to y'all why that is. It's kind of amazing how many records are being set, and I think that's just something that we kind of need to talk about. And we're going to be talking about like why all of this is so amazing in particular. Even the records are set quite a bit. Why all these records in particular are like, pedestal stuff that needs to be marked down in the history books. Alright, so let's get into it. So, the reason I think that all these records that are being set recently are so important is because they're all pretty big milestones. We have Timon and Max tying for the 3x3 world record average of 4.86, which is absolutely mind-blowing. We have Max Park getting these crazy 7x7 times. We have Max Shao breaking barriers and things like square one. And then we have Timon, paving the way for crazy amounts of efficiency, pseudo-slotting, and more. All of this is very, very crazy, and I think it's definitely things that need to be talked about, but no one's really, reflecting on it, so let's go ahead and get into it. When we had the first worlds of the world, we had some crazy stuff considering, and this was all definitely history. We had whatever his name was, Mentai or something, get 23-second solves. Now if you go to a competition you get 23-second solves, you might not even make it to round 2, which is actually really crazy. After that, we had some kind of crazy stuff, and then CUBING just kind of slid. We had Felix Index, and now we have our, kind of generation of CUBING, and it's time to talk about why all this is really amazing. This is going to be the kind of benchmark stuff for this time in history, for CUBING especially. If you think about it, this tie world record, which has never happened, Max's 7x7 times, Max Shao's square one things, all of that, the efficiency, the pseudo-slotting, that is uncomparable to what we had in the old days. People say we had worse hardware in the old days, and that's very true, but what they forget to mention is that we also were not nearly as efficient. We didn't have things like pseudo-slotting that people like Timon were using amazingly, and the fact that the efficiency these days is off the charts is really something that needs to be reflected on more, because the history of all this is just absolutely mind-blowing. And from people think of the 2020 to probably 2024 time frame for CUBING, which, because I feel like CUBING is looked at in 4 to 5 year blocks very commonly, sometimes even 2 year. I think that this will all these records will definitely be something very important. Even in the future, the first 3x3 tied world record average, and these 7x7 times, Max Shao, like I said, breaking barriers in square one. These are all going to be things that are reflected on by the future cubers, and maybe even us as we get older. So I do definitely think that people aren't really talking about this in that light, but it needs to be talked about. So let's go ahead and talk about, away from efficiency, let's go ahead and talk about how it was important of all the different people that are coming up as professionals. Okay, so if you think about it, what makes you a professional cuber? I'm going to go ahead and put the definition for professional right here. If you look at that, is that really what you consider professional? In CUBING we kind of have different, words for things. But I would consider in CUBING, we kind of mostly call a professional someone who is sponsored, they have really good times, and they've won a couple things. I think if I actually talked about this with some friends, I think that is the dumbed down version of a professional in our CUBING mind, right? So we have those 3 requirements. And I think that these professionals, they meet all of those. And it's absolutely crazy that we're having that many people come up as professionals. If you think about it, a couple years ago, maybe in 2019, you probably would have only said, Felix Index, Max Park, and a couple other people were professionals. Okay, a couple people might have argued different. And now we're seeing all these different people. Timo Kolskinski, Max Park, Max Shao, all these different people. You could even say, Kim, Asher, I'm sorry if I say his name wrong, I'm just gonna put it on the screen because I'm gonna say it wrong. But all these people, they're getting crazy times, sub 4 times, sub 4 singles, we're getting crazy averages, first sub 5 average, and all of this is absolutely amazing. So I think that's definitely something that also needs to be talked about. We're having so many people reach almost the limit of CUBING. You can't get below 0 people. And this is absolutely crazy how close we're getting, considering the world record at one time was 23 seconds, and now it's 3.47, and that record has stood for way too long, but I'm going to make a video on that. But now we are going to talk about something much different, which is hardware, something that people actually expected me to talk about while living in history. Hardware. So this is actually kind of amazing. If you look at, back in the cubes for people first years, I look at this one point and I'm not totally sure what it was, but it is not what we have today. Now we have things like the RSU in 2021. My phone's currently being held up by a Gain 11 and Pro. Like all crazy things that are like really legendary compared to a Rubik's brand. And if you look at the stiff old Rubik's brands, my grandpa actually has one of the really old ones. If you look at the stiff old Rubik's brands, I mean, they're nothing compared to this. But those people, they turn for something very similar. So the hardware that we have right now is pretty legendary. And it's only going to get better. Things like maglev and, corner to edge magnets, corner to core magnets, those are only going to evolve. And we're going to have some crazy hardware in the future. So yeah, I think this is definitely the beginning of the cubing revolution. And I think that this history is just the start of something absolutely crazy. Those will definitely be a look back on. Thank you for watching, and I'm really excited I got to make this video. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you thought that I went over some very valid points. Anyway, I'm super excited that this video is going to be on public. Peace.